Finally reviewing, or finally got to watch the Black Adam movie after it came out on HBO Max this morning. Um, I was wanting to go see it in theaters, but I never get to. So here we are. First off, as we can see, the Rotten Tomatoes, the critics were not too kind to Black Adam. We have quite quite the difference between the tomato meter and the audience score. I think I would go more towards the audience score on this. Um, I'd give it a little more grace than a 39%. I think 89 may be a little steep. Um, I think a lot of that's based on kind of change in direction a little bit on DC. I think it's a better DC film, one of the better ones of recent, but I think there were still some things lacking. And as for some of these critiques, I think a couple were nailed here, which is there's like no personality with Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Not to say that Black Adam should have a lot of personality, but that was, I think, one of the fears of the film, at least for me. Um, when you have an anti-hero that has been asleep for the 5,000 years, you might not get a lot of personality. Sometimes it's like me, when I'm at work, I don't have a lot of personality sometimes. Um, but kind of see some of that here. I think without some of the characters in there, I don't think it would be even an 89% on the audience meter. I think a lot of what held this movie together, personally, was Hawkman and Doctor Fate. I think those two characters might have been uh, two of the better characters in the film. Doctor Fate specifically, but um, we can get into that a little bit later. I think overall, and it's kind of going spoilers already, but um, I think overall the CGI was pretty good. There's a couple of parts where, and I think DC and others have always struggled with this with the fast movements. Um, it just looks strange. Not to say it's not good, but it just looks strange to the eye. When you have somebody just reappear or move somebody, it's almost like you're dragging a mouse quickly or something like that. Um, maybe it's something that we have to get used to. I don't know. We did have it was pretty much. I mean, it was a typical action film, right? It was from the start. It was action, right? Um, and it kind of never let up. Um, I mean, that said, the action started, I feel like 20, 30 minutes into the film, and then it didn't let up, I should say. There was quite the bit, I think, quite the drawn out setting up the stage with the archaeologists and such. Um, and I think um, one of the few times when I was kind of let down was you could easily tell that one of the guys in the group was bad, right? Even before uh, even before he kind of disappeared, um, you could kind of tell he was already a different character. Um, that was one that was a little too foreshadowing. There's other foreshadowings, but I think that was the biggest failure point, I guess. Um, you see Amanda Waller giving out orders, and then you meet the team, similar to James Gunn, right? In the Suicide Squad, it's kind of like here's who we got, and at a high level. Now there's less. There's only four compared to I don't know 12 of James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Now, granted, all of them died, or most of them died, but whatever. This in this case, no, they did not. We have the Justice Society. So we have that, and then we have Doctor Fate, and you kind of get the first glimpse of Doctor Fate in the vehicle in the limo, um, touching touching his helmet and seeing the future a little bit, and you can see the pain that he's through when he touches it, when he's getting involved. You can already tell his attitude. As I guess it's comedy, right? It is already pulling through. I like his dry comedy the entire time. Um, like I said before, I think Doctor Fate. I don't want to say carried the movie, but I think he did a pretty stunning job. And then we have this kid that reminded me a lot of the Shazam kid for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the coloring in the clothing, how he acted, um, kind of supporting. It's kind of similar with the Shazam piece or Shazam's brother, I guess I should say, um, where you have this you meet Black Adam after he gets awakened, right? It's like, hey, you need a catchphrase. Hey, we need to change your name. Hey, what do kind of getting him used to the, 2022, but also um, kind of the same. It's almost like we've seen some of it before. I mean, there's also a scene before this with all the action with Black Adam where he's slow mo into this song. And it's almost like we've seen it before. I mean, it was a good scene. It was action packed. It almost reminded me. There's parts I was like, is this Zack Snyder? Because this slow mode a lot at certain parts. And granted, you kind of have to show that in Black Adam's point of view, right? Where you see him go really fast, but in reality, when you get in his view and you slow things down, it makes sense. A lot of lightning strikes. You see a lot of action that you kind of expected from the comics and everything, from how he defeats villains uh, or how he acts, I guess, in general. And then you have kind of a back and forth between the kid and Black Adam. Well, you have a lot of that. Like in his room, you have a bunch of DC memorabilia, um, posters and such. You see, you can tell that it's the DC's Aquaman and Ben Affleck's Batman. You have just a flash photo and or a poster, and then you have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. But you can see they're kind of intertwined there. Not a lot, but intertwined a little bit. Um, I was I don't know. I was a little underwhelmed with the two. I want to call them the Young Avengers, which one doesn't make sense because it's not the Avengers, but two doesn't make sense in general. But I was a little underwhelmed with their performance. You can kind of tell they have like this back and forth and probably some tension. And I feel it. I want to assume they're both teenagers by how they act. But I think Black Adam. Uh, I think I was a little underwhelmed by Adam. Um, I, I don't think that. I don't know. I guess I expected more. And then we have this new character that I think her powers were needed, and you can tell they worked together in the end. She did her swirl of wind, and then we got some punches from the big guy. But Hawkman and Doctor Fate really had a good chemistry going. Good long term friends, you could tell, and it looked like it was more cohesive of a unit. That you could buy in that it's been a long relationship, right? You've had some movies out there that they say they're a long term relationship, but you don't get that. These two, you could tell. There's a lot of good moments with them. Doctor Fate and Black Adam together, their conversations, their sarcasm. Black Adam kind of is like Drax in some ways in 5,000 years, right? You'd get that where sarcasm isn't a thing. You're really dry. You don't know what's going on with how the dialects and people are, I guess. But I think overall it did well, and said Doctor Fate, and he stole every scene he was in. I feel like. I mean, Pierce Brosnan did a fantastic job. Well, or not quote me, but comment in the comment in the chat if you disagree, I guess, because I think overall, I think we can all agree. If you've watched the movie, I feel like you'd understand that that's the thing. I think he just did a lot better than the others. And then kind of this, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting the evil, I guess, as much as it was Sabak. I don't know if it was alluded to in the trailer or not, but those fight scenes were fine. They were fine for the action. Um, I think there was some cheesy stuff going on with the family. mom and the kid and the brother with their interactions with Black Adam. I feel like some of those were a little too cheesy for me, but it didn't take away from the overall experience. It's a movie I'd watch again. It is. I've seen some that it's just like a one and done. I don't feel like this is a one and done. I feel like this is one I can go back to. It's not. I'm not dying to go see it again, but it's a good action film with a character that we aren't privy to a whole heck of a lot. Um, but then you got in the end when The Rock sits on the throne. You got some poses of Black Adam from the comics, which is it's cool to see. And ultimately destroys it. I think looking at the ratings here, I wanted it to be higher. I kind of had lower expectations because it's a DC film. Um, but I wanted to have higher expectations because it's Black Adam. It's a movie that Dwayne the Rock Johnson has been pushing for years. All right. It's a project that you feel like would have a lot of heart, and that's the part that I'm kind of disappointed about was The Rock's performance. I just and again it goes back to the point where it's Black Adam, so you don't know if you're probably not going to get a lot of personality. But it's hard to I don't think you connected with this guy at all. At all. You can see him at the end, you can see him, go more towards the hero. He's still not a hero, which is good. But I feel like you just don't get connected a whole heck of a lot. I was very much more invested in the Justice Society. Give it or take. It's kind of a bummer because I don't know if these characters are going to continue. Um, we'll kind of see how that plays out, right? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, especially with the last again spoiler, especially with the last probably version of Superman we're going to see with Henry Cavill, with his little cameo appearance at the very end with Waller. Um, Kind of a sad piece there with our Superman leaving, but hey, get on with it. Let's see Black Adam versus Shazam or whatever else we have to force in and the newest Batman, Batman 10 in the last 20 years. Um, anyway, all right, we'll catch you in the next one.